The Augusta National Golf Club has seen some marvelous finishing rounds, and this fourth and final round of the 1975 Masters might very well be a story that will live for many years to come. The day began with Tom Weiskopf leading 9 under, trailed by Jack Nicklaus, who was 1 stroke back at 8 under, and Johnny Miller, who had come out of the pack and was 5 under. Immediately, Nicklaus started off with a bogey, and so he had slipped 2 back at 7 under. Jack turned right around and birdied number 2, birdied number 3. Eventually got to 10 under, 1 back of Weiskopf. And the report on the 9th hole now as Jack Nicklaus teed off. The 9th hole, you might remember, is the one that was made famous by Billy Joe Patton in the 1954 tournament. Patton tore this hole to pieces when he birdied it 4 straight days in the tournament. In a friendly round the next day, he birdied it, and the following year, Billy Joe also birdied. And so another attempt at a birdie by Nicklaus, and it falls. And so Jack Nicklaus is making the turn, 3 under for the day, 11 under for the tournament, and the word is out. It is Nicklaus and Weiskopf head to head. Now let's go back to Brent Musburger. Well, hi, everybody. This is Ben Scully welcoming you to the Augusta National, the fourth and final round of the 1975 Masters, and we got all the burners raised up to high. This is bonus coverage for you, and as you might remember, a little bit earlier, you saw Jack Nicklaus birdie number 9 to go into a 2-way tie with Tommy Weiskopf at 11 under. For Nicklaus, the day began unceremoniously with a bogey on number 1. Since then, he has picked up 4 birdies to draw even with Weiskopf at 11 under. There's somebody else red hot, so let's go to 16.
And here's Hale Irwin, the Open champion, and he's really hot today. He's 7 under for today, 5 under for the tournament. This is his famous short hole, 16th, 190 yards, playing every bit of it today, right from the back of the tee to the very far back right-hand corner of the green, with the flag cut only a few feet from the edge. And there it is, water away over on the left, sloping away from us as we look down on it. Back to the tee, and there's the way it stands now. Weiskopf and Nichols, 11 under each of them. Miller's only got to get an eagle somewhere and he could join them. And nobody really wants a playoff, but what a playoff it would be, head-to-head with Nichols and Weiskopf. Now here's Hale Irwin, as I've said, 7 under today, 5 under altogether. The Open champion, 16th, 190 yards, with the flag right at the back, nearer perhaps 200. Well, that's all right. It's on the top level of the green. Should get down in 2 from there, and he'll have a par of 3-4-4 for a 65. Doesn't seem very happy with it, but it's all right. Playing with Irwin is Bruce Devlin, Australia. He started 2 over, made up 1. Now he's 1 over. Bruce Devlin. He had a great chance here about 5 years ago, I remember. And that's short and to the right, just on the fringe of the green for Bruce Devlin, Australia. We go to 12.
This is the other par 3 on this beautiful back 9 at Augusta National, the deceptively dangerous 12th hole. Over Rays Creek, you can see the water in the background, that big bunker that's protecting the cup today. The flagstick just to the right of that bunker. And here's Bobby Nichols, who got off to a great start here on Thursday with 67. The former PGA champion said it was his best start ever at Augusta. The first time he'd ever led this tournament, because the first round leader then slipped to 74. But he's playing back gallantly today, 2 under for today and 5 under for the tournament. Still with somewhat of a chance, should the leaders collapse somewhere along these great holes today. Bobby Nichols playing the 12th. It's been virtually no wind here today, and that's a great element of this hole. When it's windy, this hole is terrifying. But little wind today. We've had 4 birdies posted already. Beautiful swing of Nichols. Very high shot's going to have to hurry. Just escapes the bunker and onto the putting surface, but a very long putt toward the flagstick, and now the wind beginning to move up again. It's been up and down throughout the day. Now Arnold Palmer, 4-time Masters champion. It was here in Augusta that Arnie's Army was named by sports writer Johnny Hendricks 15 years ago. And since that time, he's gone on to become one of the legends in golf, playing even par for this championship. Get left. Oh, great shot. Hitting the flagstick. Arnie drawing it from right to left. Hit the flagstick and very nearly a 1. Yes. Watch this again. Arnold Palmer bidding for a 1. There hasn't been a hole-in-one here since a long time ago, 1959 by Bill Hyman, and that's how close. Legendary Arnold Palmer has come to scoring the 3rd ace of this confusing hole here, the 12th at Augusta. Just that close. And actually, it turns out to be a bad break, bounding far away. Back to 18.
Miller Barber running his putt out, and he's going to leave it just short of the hole as it breaks off. We are so full of pressure and tension on this 4th and final round, and the one spotlight, the one pinpoint, boiled on number 9. As they got to 9, Tom Weiskopf was the leader, 11 under. Jack Nicklaus, who had bogeyed, then had a string of birdies, was back 10 under, and Nicklaus proceeded to birdie number 9 to get even with Weiskopf at 11. So Tommy made a magnificent approach on 9, a 440-yard par 4. The flagstick on number 9 is about 12 feet from the edge of the green. That's just about where Weiskopf's ball is. And then it was Johnny Miller's turn. Miller was 8 under at this particular juncture, 3 back of Weiskopf, and of course 3 back of Jack Nicklaus. And Miller, doing a little body English, also hit his ball up on the green, and he had himself a possible birdie putt. So the situation at 9 had boiled down to the fact that Miller looked for another birdie. And from a pretty far distance, he captured the elusive birdie, and that put him 9 under, 4 under for the front side. Gee. Now it was Tom Weiskopf. Could he keep the pressure on? Nicklaus had birdied. Miller had birdied. Weiskopf, if he could get a birdie from about 12 feet away, would have taken a one-stroke lead again. Weiskopf, you remember, had picked up that long and anguishing birdie putt on 18 yesterday to take a lead. But now the shoe was reversed. He knew that Nicklaus had birdied, and he was asked to meet the challenge. Tom had birdied today, 3 and 6. Come on, Tom. And Weiskopf left his birdie putt below the hole. He was then able to stroke it in to get his par. Now on 10, we are live. The 10th hole has been changed a little bit. The tee has been moved slightly to the right. There's a sizable ridge that was eliminated. Tree limbs on the left were cut, and the left side of that fairway gets the roll. He runs it up to the 10th green, but still has himself on this hole, which is 485-yard par 4. So Johnny Miller and Tom Weiskopf, with Weiskopf and Jack Nicklaus tied at 11 under, and we'll go to 16.
And we just have time to see the second putt here of the Open champion, Hale Irwin. This for a par 3. If he can get this and 2 more 4s, he'll be 65. That's right in the middle. And now we go to 12.
Arnold Palmer for birdie. Remember, Palmer hit the flagstick with his tee shot, but he'll have to settle for par here at the 12th. A little self-reproach by Arnold after letting that one drift off to the right side. Palmer, who very nearly made the 3rd hole-in-one in history here. The other 2 by Claude Harmon in 1947 and Bill Hyman in 1959. And you just moments ago saw Palmer's tee shot hit just before Palmer played out. Bobby Nichols, Palmer's playing partner, trying for a tie for 4th place. And he has it. Bobby Nichols has just tied Tom Watson for 4th place at 6 under par. We go back to 10.
Remind you as well, Weiskopf and Miller are playing behind Nicklaus and Watson. Weiskopf made a par, and Johnny Miller is trying to get his birdie down. And he didn't get it. So on number 10, Nicklaus and Watson parred it. Weiskopf and Miller par it, and the situation remains the same. Weiskopf and Nicklaus 11 under in a dead heat. Johnny Miller 2 back at 9 under, and with Tom Watson 6 under. Let's go to 13.
Bobby Nichols on the tee at 13. 475 yards, a par 5. And today with a helping wind. Nichols, you recall, just made a birdie at 12 to go 6 under. Could be trouble for Nichols. He'd like to hook the ball off the tee a little bit, but there's water in that creek. Let's go back to 12.
Billy Casper. Casper's won 2 U.S. Open championships, just bogeyed the 11th hole. And has played it a bit strong and back into the sand here. And that's the bunker there, where you really have a dangerous shot. Back to 13.
Arnold Palmer. That's a good shot, right in the middle of the fairway. Here is what Palmer will have when he reaches his ball. And Nichols apparently is in trouble. That's the shot for Palmer. Let's go back to 12.
Lee Trevino studies this little shot, which can be frightening, of course. The wind here is such a great factor, and that, of course, influencing the club selection. But this hole today is set up rather nicely for Lee with the flagstick down the right end of the green. Trevino preferring strongly to play his shots from left to right. So he can set this ball up in the middle of the green and just fade it in. That's could be what's going through his mind. 155 yards, proving again that you don't nearly need long yardage to have a great golf hole. This one recognized as one of the great one-shot holes in the world. Here's Trevino. Probably a 7-iron. Played it very high, and it looks superb. Look at here. Very close again. Lee Trevino has hit the closest shot to the cup on 12 in this tournament, just inches away from a 1. And Trevino, coming off a bogey at the difficult 11th, is now very close and should easily get his birdie at 12. That would put him back at 4 under par, or 3 under par. There's the result of Trevino's great shot on the 12th. One of the greatest tests. We're going to look at it again. Watch the swing of Trevino. There's that familiar finish. And then the shot. You heard the order. Be tight. How's that? How's that for behavior by the little white pellet? Trevino now crossing over the famous Ben Hogan Bridge, one of the two spanning Rays Creek, the one that leads over to the 12th, and the one that you don't see off to your left, leading back into the 13th fairways, the Byron Nelson Bridge, honoring two of the great Masters champions. Back to 13.
For the troubles of Bobby Nichols, back behind the tree, not in the water, but without too much of a shot. This is what Nichols has got to do. He's in the woods in those trees as you look on the right side. Palmer's out in the fairway. Let's go back to 12.
Trevino coming up. You're going to see just again how close he is right there. Less than a foot away for a birdie for Lee Trevino. Back to 13.
For the second shot of Arnold Palmer. Coming for the green with a low shot going left. On the green safely for a partner, but look what a putt he's got there. Playing with Bobby Nichols, who is still surveying the situation back in the trees. Nichols still in with the discussion at 6 under. He has problems at 13. We now pause 5 seconds for station identification.
This is Augusta National, a 365-acre plantation nursery, 80 years or more before Bobby Jones or Cliff Roberts ever saw it. It was known as Fruitlands way back in those days. Its hundreds of varieties of pears and apples and peaches nourished the Confederate armies in the first years of the Civil War. Dr. Alistair Mackenzie was the architect for this magnificent piece of golfdom, and it has nourished both player and fan alike ever since the Masters began in 1934. And today, in the fourth and final round of the 39th edition of the Masters, it is nourishing us all again with its beauty, with its rarefied air, and what has turned out to be a magnificent battle for first place and the Masters trophy, a sterling silver miniature replica of this to the winner. Let's pick up play as we go to our announcers at their various stations at Augusta National Golf Club.
I'm Jim Thacker reporting from number 12, 155 yards over Rays Creek, a par 3. And it was at this famous spot in Amen Corner that Nicklaus had his one bright moment yesterday in his struggle with Tom Weiskopf. Lacing his 8-iron here, and then scoring the birdie to temporarily break the deadlock and move back into the lead.
And I'm Pat Summerall. I'll be at 13, a par 5, 475 yards, an absolutely gorgeous hole. Jack Nicklaus reached the green in 2 with this shot yesterday, but missed a golden opportunity to increase his lead when he 3-putted and just made par.
Jack Whitaker at the 14th, 420-yard dogleg left par 4 with a most interesting green, double-tiered and very reminiscent of the famed St. Andrews 18th hole with its renowned Valley of Sin. Yesterday, Bobby Nichols put his second shot on the second tier of this green and calmly rolled in the birdie putt, which temporarily put him 6 under par and right in the middle of things.
I'm Ben Wright. I'll be reporting the play at the par 5, 15th hole. 520 yards and an awful lot of water. Tom Weiskopf set up a chance of a third homeward birdie with this third shot yesterday. But alas, he missed the tiny putt.
I'm Henry Longhurst, and I shall be behind the 16th, 190 yards, par 3, and one of the great short holes of the world. And that was one of the great tee shots played at it yesterday. Straight over the back of the flag, dead straight, coming back a little. And now the putt, very dangerous, 12 feet, down the hill, might run away with him. And it goes to one of the best birdies of the day.
This is Frank Lieber, and I'll be reporting the action today from the 400-yard, par 4, tree-studded 17th. It was here yesterday that the struggling Nicholas hit a poor second shot from 100 yards out and had to scramble to get down in 2.
And I'm Vin Scully. I'll be reporting play on the 18th. Par 4, 420 yards uphill to a slick, undulating 2-tiered green. Let's go to 12.
Jack Nicklaus tied for the lead with Tom Weiskopf. And Weiskopf is in trouble at this very moment. Here's Nicklaus playing to the 12th, where he had the birdie yesterday, coming in looking very good, just over the flagstick. And Nicklaus in a good spot for birdie. Tom Weiskopf is in the water on the 11th. We hear a report that Weiskopf is in the water, and Nicklaus has put his tee shot at the 12th on the green. The deadlock could be broken shortly. That appears to be the possibilities. Now young Tom Watson. Of the leaders in this tournament, 7 of the top 8 each has won at least one major championship. Here's the exception, which should tell you something about Tom Watson. Playing with tremendous courage here and poise, being paired with Palmer and now Nicklaus. Very high tee shot. And a fine one to the 12th. Tom Watson will have a chance for birdie here. He is, at this moment, 5 under par, just 1 stroke out of 4th place. And there you see Nicklaus' tee shot, ball resting on the green, and a very flat line toward the cup, and a chance to score a birdie that could break the deadlock if it isn't indeed broken before that, because over at the 11th hole, there's Johnny Miller on the green. We had a report that Tom Weiskopf was in the water at the 11th. Remember that lake right there that guards the left front, and there's Weiskopf. So apparently it is true. Weiskopf has the ball, is about to drop. So this will be Weiskopf dropping a 3rd stroke for the penalty. Will be playing his 4th shot to the green. And his share of the lead is very much in jeopardy right here. Only a miracle could save Weiskopf his share of first place. There's the drop. behind the water hazard, keeping that point where the ball last crossed the boundary between his ball and the flagstick. That's under the rules of golf. And now Tom wants to survey the green again, the landing area to where he will be playing. Well, Weiskopf, and no doubt there's been a great deal of pressure because of the way Tom and Jack will play against each other so much. There's Nicholas just one hole ahead at the 12th, looking for a birdie putt. Nicholas was at the 12th tee instantly. Now let's go to 13.
A long eagle putt for Arnold Palmer. Oh! Just a little too firm. Back to 11.
At the 12th green right here, Jack Nicklaus there. The 11th is Tom Weiskopf. Now, Nicklaus is aware of Weiskopf's trouble. He saw the shot from the 12th tee. It's the third shot of Tom Weiskopf. The par 4, 11th hole. Oh, superb shot. Great shot by Weiskopf. And Tom now playing his fourth shot, a chance at least to save bogey. Nicklaus saw the reaction. You can hear from the cheers. He knows that Weiskopf made a good shot, but he knows it did not go in. Johnny Miller will have a birdie try coming at the 11th. Weiskopf. And now back here's Tom Watson, just below us, putting for birdie. To go 6 under. Oh, no. Very close for Watson. He read that line perfectly clear, just didn't fall down. It was breaking that direction. This will be a par to leave him 5 under, tie with Hale Irwin. What a round he's having. Now, Jack Nicklaus has regained the lead. Even though Weiskopf has not finished the play at 11, the best Weiskopf can do there is 5. And unless Nicklaus would 3-putt here, he would be. Meantime, back at 11, Johnny Miller, still with designs on this championship, trailing by only 2 shots, putting for birdie to pull within 1. Nicklaus will hear this cheer if it goes. He also heard the groan as Miller comes close to birdie. But now we'll get it best par. Now, Nicklaus up ahead at the 12th, bidding here for his 15th major championship, unprecedented in history of golf. Of course, this would give him a 2-stroke lead. Would be his 3rd straight birdie at this hole, but not today. Break was not there. Nicklaus par, though, now puts him in the lead. Jack Nicklaus at 11 under par is the sole leader in this Masters Championship. He's trying to win his 5th green coat. It's never happened. Now back at 11, Tom Weiskopf, struggling here to salvage a bogey 5. His approach shot caught the water as he boldly went toward the flagstick that's set precariously up in the left-hand corner of the 11 today. That's a frightening shot up from that hillside. Tom did not get it down. Okay, for bogey. Weiskopf saves bogey at the 11th hole, but he drops back to 10 under par, and now is trailing Jack Nicklaus by 1 stroke. Johnny Miller needing this par putt to stay within 2, and only 1 back of his playing partner, Weiskopf. Very costly indeed. Bogey by Miller. He stares in disbelief. But Johnny Miller drops. Now to 13.
On the tee, Nicklaus. He loves this hole. Tremendous drive by Nicklaus right in the middle of the fairway, and no question about the fact that he can reach the green in 2. Tom Watson playing with Jack. He's way, way past Nicklaus. Tremendous drive by Watson, back to 18.
As if we needed more excitement, Hale Irwin, the United States Open champion, acknowledging the plaudits of the crowd. What a remarkable round he has had today. 8 under for the day. He birdied 1, 2, 3, and 8, came right back and caged 10, 13, 15, and 17. So Hale Irwin needing a par to tie the course record 64, established by Lloyd Mangrum in 1940, tied by Jack Nicklaus in 1965 on Maurice Bembridge last year. Hale Irwin. Let's go back to 12.
Johnny Miller at the 12th. Trying to overcome the disappointment of the bogey at 11. And it is in the bunker. He got it over the water, but Miller's in the sand. Boy, he was going directly for the flagstick. Just a bit short. Now Tom Weiskopf. He too agonizing a bit. Tom had quite a barrier here of the back 9. He played the back 9 last year, an even par, was 8 under for the front 9, figuring it cost him the championship. He finished second. And he was 1 over par on the back 9 for 36 holes here this year. But then yesterday came that amazing 32. So just as his victory last week at Greensboro got him over a psychological barrier, he figured that to give him quite a mental boost. Now comes the costly bogey at the 11th hole, and Weiskopf has lost his share of the lead. And now he comes to the 11th hole, the 12th, where he scored 3 straight pars in the first 2 rounds. Of course, had the great 66 yesterday. 7-9. Really high, but it's going to be on the green, but not close to the flagstick. That's a putt close to 45 feet for Tom Weiskopf of the 12th. Back to 18.
Hale Irwin not only is trying to tie the course record, but he is looking at a possible 9th birdie. The record is 8 birdies of Art Wall, and he has already tied that. Wall had 8 birdies in winning the 1959 Masters. He birdied 5 of the last 6 holes. Irwin on the backside has birdied 10, 13, 15, and 17. That was his birdie at 17. Now let's go back live and see what he does with this charge. He's 21, 22 feet away from the pin. Oh, I don't believe it. Hale Irwin took a look at the hole and peeled off. Otherwise, he would have had a new record of 9 birdies in the Masters. So he ties Art Wall with 8 birdies. And if he just rolls 338 dimples into that hole, he'll tie the course record of 64. Lloyd Mangrum, Jack Nicklaus, Maurice Bembridge, and now Hale Irwin at 64. What a day! The 4th and final round of the 1975 Masters. We've really got something going. Let's go back to 12.
And what a Masters it's been. It's just awe-inspiring here to watch this great wave of galleries. First with Nicholas, and now with Weiskopf moving around Amen Corner. And Tom Weiskopf facing a test of 45 feet at least here to try for a birdie that would get him back into a tie for first place. At the moment, Jack Nicklaus. 11 under is the leader. Tom Weiskopf 1 stroke behind. Johnny Miller not out of it despite a bogeyed 11. Miller will play first from the bunker. Miller's the only player in this field today to hit that bunker. But look at the leaders. Weiskopf, Nicklaus, Miller. Let's go now to 13.
And here is the leader, ready to hit for the green at 13. It's going way left. Up on the bank and back down toward the green, but off the putting surface, a long way away from the hole. He three-putted here yesterday after he reached the green in 2. Back to 12.
Tom Weiskopf's broad shoulders has dropped now out of first place. We're talking about the leaders: Weiskopf, Nicklaus, Miller, Nichols, Casper, Irwin, Trevino. All have won major championships, all with the exception of Tom Watson among the 8 leaders at this moment, which gives you great indication of the intricate and subtle ways here that typify this great Augusta National, the caliber and experience to play it. Okay, Weiskopf for birdie. To tie. Back to 13 quickly.
Tom Watson has hit. He outdrove Nicklaus by about 25 yards. And he's right over next to Nicklaus, back to 12.
To tie for first place, Weiskopf. Great speed on the putt. On the high side, should have his par to stay within 1. A week ago, Tom had what he termed the greatest run of his career, 64, and he came here to shoot 66 yesterday. So Tom, who's 3 times finished runner-up the Masters, certainly back on his game. For par. Par for Weiskopf. Still only 1 back with those long par 5s remaining, 13 and 15. Tom, of course, will never forget the fat 5-iron he hit at 16 last year that might have cost him a green coat, too. Now here's Johnny Miller. Johnny, who actually got the confidence he needed to get started on his career here at the Augusta in 1971. A 68-68 finish to tie for second with Nicholas. Now for par 3 to stay at 8 under. He has it to trail by 3. And so at this moment in the third round of the final round of the Masters, the leader is Jack Nicklaus at 11 under par.
Let's go now to 13.
Well, Nicklaus and Watson have almost the same shot. Far above the hole, about 120 feet away. Nicklaus is 3 under for today. And he's the leader. 1 ahead of Weiskopf. Weiskopf back on the tee at 13 at the moment. Jack has taken a long, long time. Chipping for an eagle, which he made in the final round last year here when he was chasing Gary Player. That's Weiskopf. Don't believe Weiskopf can reach the green in 2. Here's Nicklaus. Got to gather some speed somewhere. Way short is Nicklaus. Watson, remember, has almost the same shot. The information is that Weiskopf probably cannot try for the green in 2. Look how short Nicklaus was. Hoping for his 5th green jacket at the Augusta National.
Arnold Palmer for par. And Arnold just rolls it in for par 4 here. Stay 1 under. Back to 13.
Watson's about ready now. He's got the putter. He's about 118 feet away. That one's got more gas than the one that Nichols hit, but it's still not enough. Nevertheless, that's a good effort for Watson, and he has that left for birdie. He made an eagle in the second round here. Back to 14.
This is Bobby Nichols for par. Par 4 for Bobby Nichols, who remains 6 under. Back to 13.
Jack Nicklaus left himself about 30 feet. Watson has about 3 feet for his birdie. He could add to his lead. He could increase to 2. Firm enough. Right stroke. But it didn't break. So on a hole where birdie possibilities and eagle possibilities are always here, he did the same as he did yesterday. 3-putt it, or chip weakly and then 2-putt it. Watson could go 6 under if he could make this. And he does. The next to the last twosome, Watson and Nicholas go over to 14. In the meantime, Weiskopf was off to the right side, off the tee. It looked like he had in mind coming for the green in 2. There's what he has, though. You'd like to hook the ball off the tee. He couldn't accomplish that. He has decided, I believe, to lay up. That's a good shot. Johnny Miller hit the perfect tee shot. Right in the middle of the fairway, around the corner where he certainly can reach the green in 2. He got on with a 4-iron yesterday on this hole. And if anything, he drove it better today than yesterday. And a beautiful picture. He's going to be left too, but safely on the green. So Miller on into at 13. And so, at this moment in the final round of the Masters, the leader is Jack Nicklaus at 11 under par.
Okay. We have gotten it all for the fourth and final round of the 1975 Masters Tournament. Jack Nicklaus stubbornly holding on to a one-stroke lead over Tom Weiskopf. And as we saw, Johnny Miller with a chance to get right back and pick up another stroke. You're looking through the leaderboard at the 18th, where Dave Stockton, who finished second yesterday and finished in 2 strokes back of Gary Player in the 1974 Masters. And we'll go to 15.
Bobby Nichols at the top of the hill surveys the vast shot he has to play into this natural amphitheater. And this is the ultimate test of character in World Championship golf. Those who get a little fluid on the knees at this point usually reach for an iron club and lay up. Nichols, by no means out of it at 6 under par, as nerves get strung up in the stretch. Here he is, his second shot at the 15th. Into the single bunker on this hole. Back to the 13th.
Where Weiskopf has visited the green and gone back to his ball now. He's there in 2. With a lot of green to work with. Just a little bit strong. Right on the edge of the putting surface. Weiskopf there in 3. But keep in mind the man that he's playing with, Johnny Miller, has a chance for an eagle. He's 8 under. If he could make this putt, he'd be just 1 behind Nicklaus. Now to 14.
Where Tom Watson has put his drive to the right, he's hitting a 7-iron. He should have no difficulty. He's got a clear path to this green. The problem is getting it close to this pin. Roll it. We will not get up the slope, and Tom Watson will be possibly down about 45 feet from the hole. Back to 13.
John Miller putting for eagle. Offline as so many players have been from up there. But Miller has only about 2 feet left for a birdie. Back to 14.
Jack Nicklaus in the middle of the fairway, a beautiful drive, just about where he was yesterday when he put an 8-iron completely over the green into the gallery. The leader at the moment, Jack Nicklaus, at the 14th fairway, second shot. And he hit 9-iron here today. And he, too, will be down at the bottom and off the fringe here at the 14th green. And not very happy with that shot. Possibly 55 feet away. Back to 13.
Weiskopf just on the edge of the putting surface and just below us. That's for birdie. That would put him back in a tie. Didn't break. That's not an easy putt that Weiskopf has coming back by any means. Down to 15.
Bobby Nichols from the bunker above the hole, all downhill from here. Beautiful shot. And so a chance to go to 7 under par and only 4 shots off the lead, with Nicklaus looking in trouble. Back to the 13th.
That's for birdie for Johnny Miller. That would put him 9 under. And 2 back of Nichols at the moment. Got it. Johnny Miller picks up a stroke. Weiskopf will now be putting for par. Just 1 behind Nicholas. Miller only 2 back now. But remember, at 14, Jack Nicklaus has trouble. Oh, so careful. Weiskopf with a par. Nicklaus over at 14 on the right side of your picture. Let's go there.
With a putter from the fringe. He's going to be awfully strong and will have trouble getting par as it goes off the green on the other side. And we're about, perhaps, to have another tie in this 1975 Masters. There's his shot. He's about 4 feet off the putting surface, about another 12 feet to the hole. Let's go to 15.
Bobby Nichols for the birdie that will put him 7 under par. At the 15th hole, it won't. A costly miss. If Nichols was to have any chance of catching the leaders. Back to the 14th.
This is Tom Watson. Almost the same spot that Nicklaus was a moment ago. And certainly should have learned from Jack's attempt. This is much better. He has 1.5 feet for his par to remain 6 under. Back on the tee here at 14, John Miller. Hot on the trial. Hit the tree over on the left side and dropped down. May or may not be bad. Half hour ago, Alan Miller from there holed out for an eagle. Tom Weiskopf was about, whether he knows it or not, has a good chance of regaining part of the lead. As Nicklaus up at the green now is about ready for his 4th shot. Tommy likes it. And indeed he should. Up at the green now, Jack Nicklaus, and this is for par. Jack Nicklaus will take a bogey here, and for the moment, the Masters will be tied between Weiskopf and Nicklaus. This has been a difficult hole, this little bridge between the 2 par 5s. 31 bogeys to 13 birdies before today's round, and this will be the 8th bogey to only 2 birdies today. Bogey 5 for Jack Nicklaus. He drops to 10 under, tied now with Tommy Weiskopf behind him in the fairway. As Tom Watson marks his ball, about 1.5 feet for his par to remain 6 under. 4 shots off the lead. A marvelous tournament for young Tom Watson. Yes, Tom Watson, par 4 at 14, remains 6 under, 4 shots behind the 2 leaders, Nicklaus and Weiskopf, as we go to 16.
And just in time to see Bobby Nichols' tee shot. 6 under after that distressing putt at the last hole. And that's way out to the right. Bounce back off the bank where the spectators sit. And he's unhappy about that one. So 18.
Gene Littler going off the 18th. Gene, who knows all about the pressure at the Masters, doesn't take too much of a memory to remember 1970. The Masters won by Billy Casper in a playoff with Gene Littler. And this big gallery ringing the 18th, now playing scoreboard. Some of the biggest noises we have had have come while the green was starkly empty, as people just stared at the leaderboard and saw the notice of birdie or bogey, the shift in position. Gene Littler, who started the day even, is 2 over. And he has had some trouble on this hole. He bogeyed it yesterday. Hubert Green with him is 2 under for the tournament, 1 under for the day. We'll go back to 14.
And at 14, Johnny Miller has just surveyed from the top of the hill what he has. It would appear that he does have a clear shot. Just 1 shot behind the leaders, Johnny Miller now. And here's where he has to come. A flagstick today, right rear, the most difficult place. What it does is reduce this green by almost 2/3 its side for any real chance for a birdie. He hits another tree and drops down as Johnny Miller finds difficulty here at this pesky 14th hole at the 15th.
Jack Nicklaus driving with more than a touch of anger after that strange 3 putts at the 14th. Back to 14.
Weiskopf, second shot. The co-leader. And he has put a magnificent shot in here at 14 and may well take the lead as the swing goes here at 14. So at this moment in the final round of the Masters, the leaders are Tom Weiskopf and Jack Nicklaus at 10 under par.
It is goosebump time on the old plantation. Tom Weiskopf and Jack Nicklaus are dead even at 10 under, and the 14th hole has certainly had its share of the spotlight. Johnny Miller is 9 under for the tournament, 4 under for the day, so he is just 1 back of the co-leaders Weiskopf and Nicklaus. Let's go to 16.
Yes.
And on 16, Arnold Palmer, very long try for a birdie, and let's hope he gets it. That was a very fine putt from about 40 feet. Good old Arnold Palmer, who, as always, gets a special ovation as he walks along beside the lake coming up to this green. Still 1 under, so we'll go back to 15.
Where Nicklaus ponders those extraordinary 3 putts on the 14th green that has so often taken its toll of his chances here. When all he needs to the green at that 14th is the wedge shot that he doesn't play as well as most of the other magnificent strokes in that big bag. Back to
where Johnny Miller has just hit the flagstick with his 3rd shot, and it drops down 2 feet from the hole. Johnny Miller on trouble in his drive, on trouble in his 2nd shot. And there's his ball as it hit the flagstick on the 2nd bounce and drops down 2 feet away. He will save his par. Weiskopf, in the meantime, 5.5 feet away with a chance to get the lead as we go now to 16.
Just have time again to see Bobby Nichols. And he played a very good pitch up there to within 6 feet, and you saw it go in there. So he stays at 6 under as he leaves the 16th. And to 15.
A nod of the head as Nicholas ponders. There's hardly a breath of wind now. The flag is completely limp at the top of the flagstick. And from there, there's about 220 yards to the front edge of the green, another 37 feet or 12 yards to the hole. And here comes Nicholas with one of the most vital strokes of his distinguished career. Oh, my word! Well, so nearly went in the hole. What a marvelous golf shot. Back to the 14th.
Tom Weiskopf now is over this birdie attempt that would give him the lead for the moment. 5.5 feet for birdie 3. The leader for the moment, Tom Weiskopf, who goes to 11 under with a brilliant bird here at 14. Jack Nicklaus walking up to 15 now. As John Miller at 14 has this 2.5 footer to save par after hitting the flagstick with his third shot. Yes, sir. Par 4. He is 9 under. Nicklaus 10 under. Weiskopf 11 under. Let's go now to 15.
Well, there's going to be a standing ovation, I'm sure. There certainly should be for a stroke of that majestic violence that has just been reeled off by Nicholas. And the crowd get to their feet in the stands, slowly rising to acknowledge one of the great golf shots. And of course, a very good chance of an eagle, which really will put the pressure. There's the golf shot again that's just thrilled this huge crowd. Massively firm long iron shot from Jack Nicklaus, almost threatening to catch a part of the flagstick. And now a warm hand for Tom Watson. And here's his second shot a few moments ago. And there it is, and Tom Watson will putt first up the slope, but we'll back on the tee with Tom Weiskopf, who's just grabbed the lead. That gloriously rhythmic, athletic figure right down the middle. And with him, Johnny Miller. Weiskopf 11 under, Nicklaus with a chance to go from 10 to 12 under with an eagle putt, and Johnny Miller here at 9 under par. Wow. Nearly fell over. And right down the middle. 2 wonderful drives, and just past his partner Weiskopf. Back on the green, Tommy Watson, who has birdied this hole on all the 3 previous days, going for his eagle. He's 6 under par, having started 4 under. Get in. Having a look in the side door as it passes by, but a chance to birdie the hole for the 4th consecutive day, which is a unique performance in this year's tournament. Sixteenth.
That's a putt by Billy Casper. The same position we saw Arnold Palmer a moment ago, about 40 feet, and the same result, stone dead. Very good putt indeed. Billy Casper, a certain 3. He's 5 under. And stays that way. Back to 15.
No man living has holed as many of these vital putts when he's most required to do so than Jack Nicklaus. Can he do it now? The putt is fractionally uphill. The hole set on a little crown. This for the eagle that will swing Nicklaus back from a 1-stroke deficit into a 1-stroke lead. The water's still, as if even they're afraid to make a ripple. It was not to be. But with Weiskopf watching from the top of the hill, Nicklaus taps in and once again is tied for the lead at 11 under par. Back to the 16th.
And here at 16 is Lee Trevino from just behind the green. Little chip, sort that he's holed so many of on crucial occasions, but not today. And we go back to 15.
For Tom Watson's attempt for his 4th consecutive birdie of the tournament and a total of 7 under par. Oh. A cruel break to the right. And so Watson will remain tied at 6 under par with Hale Irwin, who has already finished with a record equaling round of 64, and with Bobby Nichols. Now to the 16th.
And just time to see Trevino miss his putt and take 4 at this last of the par 3 holes. Trevino going to 2 under from 3 under. Back to 15.
Back to the top of the hill at the 15th. This 520 yards par 5, and now time for coolness, nerve, courage, as Weiskopf goes for the green with a long iron. And goes clean over the back. Now, that's going to be just about the most difficult shot he could think of if he was going to miss the green and stay out of the water, because he's only got about 20 feet of green in which to work. Now, a cool customer, Johnny Miller at 9 under par. Now he's motioning for the ball to go left. Well, it's been pretty obedient too, and so he's got a chance of an eagle that would tie him for the lead. Johnny Miller at the 15th. Back to the 16th.
There, on the tee, looking from behind. Familiar figure now, Jack Nicklaus. dead calm here amid all these tall Georgia pines. Not a movement on the flag, not a movement on the water.
Get in that hole, Bo. Get up. Get in the hole.
Disappointing one there. Leaves him 40 feet at least short and to the left. A long slope to come up. That's rather a disappointment for Jack Nicklaus. Flag is right on the right-hand top side beside the left-hand edge of that far big bunker. So now there's disappointment at the last hole, but a heroic round, I think, by Tom Watson in these circumstances.
Oh, get up. Oh, Tom.
Oh, well, now. Difficult to see from here whether it's in the sand or in the water.
And so at this moment in the final round of the Masters, there are two players tied for the lead at 11 under par.
The gallery at 18 nervously awaiting the three contenders. In all honesty, somewhat like an army ready to do battle. You can see them stirring, and yet at the same time grateful for a few moments of respite before the tension and the storm of emotion will wash over it. So we still have that moment, and let's go back to 15.
Tom Weiskopf with a most difficult little chip. He's got very little room to work with on the green itself. Possibly may just bounce it in the fringe. Well, if he had have bounced it in the fringe, it would have taken a lot of the speed off it, and now Weiskopf struggling with a putt for a birdie, but Johnny Miller has this putt for an eagle, of course, to join the co-leaders, Tom Weiskopf and Jack Nicklaus. He's coming fairly fiercely downhill, and 3 putts from this area have not been unknown today. The ball gathering pace down the slope instead of dying as it gets towards the hole. This glorious scene, bathed in the pale afternoon sunlight that has been much brighter earlier in the day. A perfect day for one of the most intriguing and exciting finishes one could invent if one was a best-selling author. Back to the 16th.
Well, now, here's a curious situation here. Tom Watson was in the water, only just, but he had to pick out. He's gone back to what they call the dropping area. That's the tee at the very back there. And he drops here. And so that's his 3rd shot. And it's almost in exactly the same place again. Whether it's in the water or not again, we can't quite see. But I think it is, and he's going to have to play another. And now, this will be a great tragedy, a 5 for Watson and back to 15.
Well, I think the players are grateful here on the 15th green for a little respite and a time to get their nerves together. Back to 16.
Well, now, here's Watson playing 5, his 3rd ball, with a penalty each time. That at last in the middle and rolls cruelly back down the hill. You can judge the tremendous slope of this green from the result of that. Nicklaus having to hang about all this time, so we go back to 15.
Well, Johnny Miller's had a good amount of time to collect himself, knowing that this putt, if he could get it in, would give him a share of the lead with Weiskopf and Nicklaus. He's given it too much and just a little too firm to take the borrow. And that is not exactly what you'd call stone dead either. Now, yet another totally vital putt. Weiskopf really has not been treated too kindly by this 15th hole this week. 4, 6, 5 have been his scores here. Nicholas has had a very long wait on the 16th, with Watson having his cruel misfortunes. And the atmosphere electric and almost totally silent on the respective greens. But we're on the 15th with Weiskopf for the birdie. Tremendous putt by Tom Weiskopf, and that is going to be evil music ringing in Nicholas's ears as Tom Weiskopf grabs the lead once again outright at 12 under par. Johnny Miller for the birdie, by no means out of it yet, although he's putting into his shadow over the hole, which is not at all a pleasant task. Safely in and coolly in for Johnny Miller, who moves to 10 under par. So Weiskopf 12, Nicklaus 11, Miller 10. Over to the 16th.
There's Nicholas. He's got a putt up the hill, 35 to 40 feet. He's been standing there for a long time while his playing partner played 3 tee shots, so to speak. Only about 100 yards from where Weiskopf held that putt, the way his head is facing at the moment. Now, up the hill. Oh, did you ever see one like that? I think that's one of the greatest putts I've ever seen in my life. And there's back on the tee. Weiskopf has to take it this time, having dished it out on the hole before. I never saw such a putt in my life. Now, let's have a look at that again. It isn't possible. Not on. So now, back on the tee. The last 2, we just go to 18 quickly.
At 18, as Bobby Nichols makes his approach to the green, this huge gallery has already been put through an emotional grinder without yet seeing the 3 principals. But all eyes have been riveted on the leaderboard, and first a roar went up when it showed that Nicholas was 11 under. Another roar on Weiskopf's 12, and then another on Miller's 10 under. Let's go to 16.
Now back to the last pair. This really dramatic finish. 190 yards. Last year, you may remember, Weiskopf here hitting into the water, playing a second ball in the dropping area and getting a 2 with that, getting away with a 4. So, 2 of them there at 12 under. Started well enough, but that's terribly short and disappointing for Weiskopf, and that might be it. If he does lose, I think that perhaps would be the one that did it. That was disappointing. Hasn't even reached the green. Last year in the water, it was 17.
Jack Nicklaus on the tee, the 400-yard par 4, 17th. Large tree in the left-hand side of the fairway, about 165 yards out. Crowd apparently liked it. Nicklaus has had some problems on this hole, and that's a perfect drive right down the middle of the fairway. He's parred all 3 days, but had to scramble from off the green for his pars in 2 of the 3 days. Let's go to 18.
A dramatic moment here. Bobby Nichols and Arnold Palmer approaching the green, and Arnold Palmer perhaps best summed it up. As he turned back, listening to the roar of the crowd, he looked up at the leaderboard. He saw Nicholas and Weiskopf tied at 12 under, and Johnny Miller trailing at 10 under, and Arnie just nodded as if to say, yes, that's just the way it figured. He then acknowledged the crowd, and both he and Bobby Nichols now trying to get their birdie putts. Arnold started the day 1 under. That's where he is right now, and let's go to 16.
Now, a moment or two ago, this is Johnny Miller. A moment or two ago, his tee shot 16. And if we watch to the left of the flag, we shall see it. And there it is. 35-foot putt. Johnny Miller. Now here comes the tall, soldierly, but disappointed figure of Weiskopf. See how short he is there. Just long reach. And so, at this moment, in the final round of the Masters, the leaders are Nicklaus and Weiskopf at 12 under.
Arnold Palmer trying for a birdie putt. Doesn't take a memory to remember when he birdied 18 in 1960 to beat Ken Venturi by 1. But that was 1960. So Arnold Palmer misses his birdie and leaves his ball beyond the hole by about a foot. This, I guess, not be anticlimactic. This would be pre-climactic because the kings are yet to come. Out on the course, dead even, Tom Weiskopf and Jack Nicklaus. Johnny Miller trying to crash through. And Arnold Palmer concluding his round. 1 under for the day. 1 under all the way around for a par. So he finishes the tournament 1 under. Let's go to 16.
Well, now back here, we make this about 45 yards. Weiskopf just short of the green, and the flag right at the very back of the green, top right-hand side. He's got to go up a gradually increasing slope. Starts going up about there. Well, it's breasting the slope very well, but falling away at the end. And now it'll roll down farther and farther, and with it may go Weiskopf's hopes. It's about 18 feet away. To 17.
Jack Nicklaus ready for his second shot. You directly in the face of the green. The pin on the golfer's right, but very deep. Just 14 feet from the back edge. An embankment down that edge. That is not a bad shot at all. It'd be a difficult putt for a birdie opportunity. He's about 15 feet or so below the cup. Meanwhile, back at 16.
And here is Johnny Miller. About 35 feet. Also up a slope. Very finely struck putt. And a great result. And we go to 18.
Bobby Nichols has just concluded his round. Bobby 3 under for the day, so he finished 6 under for the tournament, and that would tie him with Hale Irwin. Remember, with all the headlines and all the stories, Hale Irwin merely equaled a course record of 64 and also a course record of 8 birdies. Billy Casper, a former Masters champion, off the tee on 18, 420-yard dogleg right, and his approach coming up to the undulating two-tiered green. So Billy Casper and now Lee Trevino. The gallery coming from everywhere now at the 18th. They like to see Trevino and Casper. That what they want with all their hearts and souls now is to see Weiskopf and Miller and Nicklaus. And let's see Weiskopf, and we'll go to 16.
And here he is, the result of that long, long approach shot up the hill, rolled away about 18 feet away. And if he holds this one, it'll be one of the bravest putts he's ever held in his life. Come on. Well, not a bad try, but never up, never in. And it's a 4 for Weiskopf. And he drops one behind. Tony Miller, just this tap in for par 3 to stay 10 under. Well done. And that's the end of the 16th today. This is a playoff tomorrow. 17.
Tom Watson looking over his putt, his second shot on the right fringe of the green. It is 27 feet from the cup to the edge of the green. Meanwhile, back at 18.
An ovation for Lee Trevino and Billy Casper. Billy Casper has played very well, 3 under for the day and 5 under for the tournament. A Masters champion who, if he could sink a long birdie putt, would tie Bobby Nichols and Hale Irwin at 6 under for the tournament. Lee Trevino started 1 under for the day, and he's 2 under, and it'll be Billy Casper. We have a moment before we get to the excitement. Let's jump to 17.
Watson from just under 30 feet for a birdie. Gave it a good ride. He's about a foot away, and Nicholas watched it. And now Jack doing a little homework of his own as Watson marks the ball, and now the crowd rises, and Nicholas is looking directly at the leaderboard across the way, and he can see, or will be able to see in just a moment, the bogey posted by Tom Weiskopf at 16. I don't think he's seen it yet, but the murmur has gone through the crowd. This is a rather difficult putt. It'll be uphill. It will bend slightly to his right. Meanwhile, back on the tee, 400 yards away, Johnny Miller. He's just a couple of shots off the lead, but running out of holes.
Get it back, Tom.
Escapes the tree and skipping down the left side in good position. On the green, Nicholas just about ready. You recall it was on 17 in the final round last year that Gary Player more or less iced the 1974 Masters with a sensational second shot. Got a chance. An inch. A tap in here for Jack Nicklaus for his par, enables him to stay at 12 under for the tournament. And with a one-shot lead over Tom Weiskopf with the 18th hole to play. Let's go there.
Lee Trevino for a birdie putt and ran it by, much to the disappointment of the gallery. So he's there in 3. If he... We'll go back to 17.
A very disheartened Tom Watson getting his 4, but obviously thinking about what happened to him at 16 when he went 7. And so at this moment in the final round of the Masters, the leader is Jack Nicklaus at 12 under par.
Jack Nicklaus going off the 18th tee. This 420-yard par 4, dogleg right. He's in fine position. Nicklaus on this hole has parred it twice and bogeyed it once. Tom Watson has 2 pars and a bogey on this hole. In fact, amongst the trio battling for the lead, there's been only 1 birdie, and that was Weiskopf yesterday. Tom Watson, 2 under for the tournament. Started 4 under today. And he lays it out there. And Tom rolls into the bunkers that were put in there for the 67 Masters. And so as they stride forward towards their approach shot, the huge gallery comes from all of the other holes now, like some vast Christmas ribbon that's been pulled through the trees. Billy Casper finished out with his putt. Casper, when we last saw him, finished 5 under for the tournament. Lee Trevino finished 2 under. So Billy just 1 short of Hale Irwin and Bobby Nichols, who were 6 under, tied. Here was Trevino's putt. And he got it for his par. He finished the tournament 2 under, 1 under for the day. Now let's go to 17.
Johnny Miller looking over his second shot. He hit his tee shot far down the left side. He is in excellent position coming in. Just a corner of that bunker in the face of the green will be in play here. He obviously is having a little indecision about club selection. The wind has died down almost completely right now. He's about 110 yards out. Pin on the far right-hand side of the green, a rather steep embankment. If he misses it, he's got about 50 feet of green to work with between the bunker and the flagstick. He is 2 shots behind the leader, Jack Nicklaus, with 2 holes to go. Oh, he's coming right on the stick. Look at this. Look at this. Well, it held up a little bit, but he's got a good birdie opportunity here from about 10 feet. Tom Weiskopf, left center portion of the fairway, also in excellent shape for his second shot. You see what he has confronting him. And he knows he needs to birdie one of the last 2 holes. A bit to the right of the stick. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. A little long. But he's got a shot at it. He's got a shot at it from perhaps 15, 16 feet away. Very large gallery completely encircling the par 4 17th. Let's go to the finishing hole.
Jack Nicklaus, Friday, from a similar spot on the 18th fairway, hit one of his bad shots, and it rolled over the left side of the green, and he bogeyed the hole. But Nicklaus has been there. Just to line it up before we get to the tension, Nicklaus not only has won 4 Masters, he's finished 9 times in the top 5 in 13 Masters. Tom Weiskopf has finished second 3 times here. And Johnny Miller's best performance in 1971, he tied with Nicklaus for second place, 2 back of Charles Cootie. Here's the shot that Jack Nicklaus has on this dogleg. Bunkers to the left and right of the green. A famous finishing hole, the left bunker in 1957, Doug Ford holed out to beat Sam Snead. And it's one of the more dramatic walks in golf. Nicklaus leading by 1 on the 18th. You can hear the comments of the gallery. He gets it right between the traps, pin high. A magnificent approach for Jack Nicklaus, and he is in birdie country. And now Jack makes that great long walk uphill on the 18th. Perhaps the greatest and most emotional walk was in 1967, when a tired and weary Ben Hogan shot a 66 and walked up the 18th. Tom Watson, 2 under for the tournament, 2 over for the day. Watson made a similar shot on the green the other day, and he comes right back to duplicate it. So 2 fine approach shots. Young Tom Watson, 2 under, and Jack Nicklaus, the leader, at 12 under, striding up towards the 18th green. What a day. Hale Irwin, a 64 to tie a record. 8 birdies to tie a record. Nicklaus started the day 8 under. and at one stage was 2 back of Weiskopf. He caught him and passed him on the backside, was caught again and is passed again. And as Nicholas strides to the 18th, and he should be alone, and is, the crowd is standing ovation. Let's go to 17.
Here's the big putt for Tom Weiskopf from 15 feet away, a birdie which would tie him with Nicholas for the lead. No, did not hit it hard enough. He'll have a foot left for his 4. That will keep him at 11 under par for the tournament and 1 shot off the lead. Tom, who has finished second 3 times. He was 2 shots back in 1972, 3 shots back another time, 1 shot back in 1969. Gets his par 4, but he has 1 hole in which to attempt to catch Jack Nicklaus, who is in birdie position on 18. Now keep in mind that Johnny Miller is still very much in the picture. This putt, let's call it close to 15 feet, would put Miller within 1 shot of the lead. And, of course, 1 hole to play. It's a shame that Miller, as you see Nicholas on 18, can't play the entire Masters on the front 9 here. He's had 11 birdies in the last 2 days on the front 9 here at Augusta National. So put him 6 under today as well. He's read the break. Well, Nicholas has got to be wondering exactly what did happen on 17. Was it Weiskopf birdie? We'll see in a moment on the scoreboard on 18 as the birdie will go up for John Miller, which ties him with Weiskopf for second place at 11 under par, just 1 shot behind. Miller making up amazing ground in the final 36 holes of the Masters. Here it is again, and see how he raged that break. From left to right, just perfectly. Let's go to the finishing hole.
Tom Watson with a long downhill putt. 2 under for the tournament. Got it. Oh, what a marvelous birdie putt. And Tom Watson goes, phew. And now this gallery roaring at the noise. And they look up and see that Johnny Miller has suddenly caught Tom Weiskopf at 11 under. And even Jack Nicklaus, before he went to line up his putt, looked up at the leaderboard. And down at the other end on the tee is Johnny Miller. 1 back of Nicklaus. Crowd talking the ball and telling it to fade. And in perfect position, skirting the edge of the bunker. And Jack Nicklaus, so far in this hole, 2 pars and a bogey. Standing 420 yards away, Tom Weiskopf. And 1 stroke away. And he really let one out. Weiskopf, who has been using a 1-iron, really rolled the dice and went to the driver. Jack Nicklaus leading by 1, gazing at a birdie putt. It is not to be. So Nicholas gets his par. Now, this huge gallery wondering, will an elusive birdie pop up on the 18th? And so at this moment in the third round of the Masters, the leader is Jack Nicklaus at 12 under par. And so 4 days of magnificent golf has boiled down to this. Will we see another birdie? The 18th hole here at Augusta has played very easy today compared to the other 3 rounds. In 3 previous rounds, we had only 9 birdies, 3 a day. Today, we've already had 8. Will we see the 9th? Johnny Miller needs a bird to tie Nicklaus at 12 under. Tom Weiskopf, with a tremendous drive, the biggest drive in 4 days here, needs a birdie to tie Nicklaus. Johnny Miller, a perfect drive away from the bunker. Pretty good opening between the left and right bunker. The pin or flag stick is about 21 feet back into the green. And so he has fought all the way to here, and it's up to Johnny Miller. And he's going for it, and it was a little bit hot and hold up above the hole, a dangerous area, but the way he's been playing, a bird is certainly a possibility. All right, he has a chance to tie. And now Tom Weiskopf. Tom, in 4 days, has out-hit everybody on this hole. Pacing off right now to figure out just how far he has to go. So Tom Weiskopf, 1 shot back of the leader, Jack Nicklaus, tied for second with Johnny Miller, and Miller aboard with a chance for a birdie to tie. .420-yard hole, and he's probably in wedge distance. Looking at the charted card. If he goes at the pin, he'll have 21 feet to stay below the hole and clear the bunker. His birdie yesterday came from 17 feet to the right of the pin. He's inside Miller. Oh, what a horse race. Drilled one. It hit about 2 feet in front of the flag stick and then had some topspin, went up the slope and then drifted back inside Johnny Miller. So they are both alive. They are still both above water. Either or both make a birdie putt, and we have a tie. Take another look at Tom Weiskopf following a tremendous drive with this magnificent approach. Short of the pin, ran up past it, and then came down the slope a bit. And this gallery that has roared at numbers can't wait for the finish. And so at this moment in the third round of the Masters, the leader by 1 is Jack Nicklaus. Well, it's white knuckle time on the 18th green here at historic Augusta National Golf Club. The situation is almost oversimplified. Jack Nicklaus is 12 under, leading by 1. 2 pursuers are on the green. Johnny Miller about 15 feet away, and a downhill putt. The same for Weiskopf, about 8 feet away. If either man rolls it in, he ties Nicklaus. If they both roll it in, we have a 3-way tie. And if they both miss, Jack Nicklaus then will have been the first man in history to win 5 Masters. So it is that simple. The roll of the putt. birdie flew away. So Johnny Miller, a gallant effort. Miller, who was 5 under at the start of the day, played 6 under to here. And now there's one last shot left in the arsenal, and it belongs to Tom Weiskopf. Tom, a bridesmaid 3 times. For the first time in his life, led yesterday in a round at the Masters. Tommy Weiskopf, 8 feet away from a tie. And a reminder that upon the conclusion of play, we'll have the winners in the trophy room and in the TV room. And so the heartbreak and the disappointment registered on Tom Weiskopf's face and on the lips of those who have cheered him for 4 days. And hail to the victor. Jack Nicklaus wins his 5th Masters green coat. Tom Weiskopf and Jack Miller are not finished yet. Here, one more look at heartbreak at Augusta. Skidded just by on the right. So Tom Weiskopf, who started the day 9 under, trying to finish 2 under for the day, 11 under for the tournament. Second place once more. And this time, perhaps, he'll even have to share that moment of disappointment with Johnny Miller. Miller 6 under for the day. Okay, Johnny Miller and Tom Weiskopf, frustrated at missing birdies, get their pars, finish 11 under, 1 back of the champ, Jack Nicklaus. What a horse race. Johnny Miller in 1971 was tied for second with Jack Nicklaus, 2 under back of Charles Coody. We'll return with a presentation of the green jacket, symbolic of the Masters Championship, in just a moment. And so the 1975 Masters Tournament has come to a conclusion. A delight, a thrill for Jack Nicklaus, heartbreak and disappointment for Tom Weiskopf and for Johnny Miller. There was a touch, another added thrill today. Hale Irwin tied 2 records, shooting a 64 and tying a record for 8 birdies held by Art Wall. And this estimated crowd of approximately 40,000 that saw it all today. Some eagles, some birdies, some magnificent come-from-behind play. Saw Tom Weiskopf start the day 9 under and saw Jack Nicklaus bogey the first hole to go 7 under and 2 back of Weiskopf. And then Nicklaus, coming back with a roar, suddenly picked up 3 birdies to go 10 under. And then when he birdied number 9, he had caught Weiskopf. So they were tied at 11 under. Johnny Miller got to within 9 under. And Nicklaus stayed 11 under until 14 when he slipped back to 10. Weiskopf got to 12. And it looked for a moment as if Tom Weiskopf was finally to get what he cherishes and wants so badly. But it was not to be, as Nicklaus, starting then from 10 under, went to 11 under on 15, 12 under on 16, and parred in. And Weiskopf, who had gone from 10 to 11 to 12, then drifted back on the heartbreaking 16th, where he lost 1 to 11 and fell into the second-place tie with Johnny Miller. It was a day, it was 4 days, not to be forgotten. And certainly the 1975 Masters, the 39th in the history, will join with some of the other classics that first started in 1934. The first name inscribed on the Masters trophy was that of Horton Smith. And down through the years, there were 6 thrilling playoffs. And for a moment, in fact, for several moments today, it appeared as if there might be a 7th playoff. But instead, it turned out to be, as so many figured when it got down to the short strokes, a victory for Jack Nicklaus. And Jack Nicklaus breaks a tie that he held with Arnold Palmer. And Nicklaus now stands alone atop the heap, atop of Mount Olympus, if you wish, as he wins his 5th Masters. Before we have the presentation, meet our winner, see our defending champion and the amateur winner, here are some of the highlights. Here is the 15th hole, and Tom Weiskopf on 15 going after a birdie. And he got it, and that put him 12 under and gave him at the time a lead over Jack Nicklaus of 1. Then it was Johnny Miller, who came out of the pack yesterday with 6 consecutive birdies and had a record-breaking 30 front side. Miller started 5 under today, and when he got to the 15th, he was after a bird. And he got it to go 10 under. And so on that hole, at the 15th, Weiskopf was the leader, 12 under. Nicklaus trailing at 11 and Miller at 10. But at the 16th hole, Jack Nicklaus was 11 under and looking at this monumental putt for a birdie. Nicklaus needed a birdie here to take the lead. An incredible putt by a man accustomed to performing the incredible, Jack Nicklaus. And that's where it happened. He took the lead by 1 at 12 under, and he never relinquished it. And now, let's go to the winner's circle and to Pat Summerall.
Right, Van, it's a privilege to introduce the chairman of the Masters Tournament Committee, Mr. Clifford Roberts.
Good afternoon. I have just one very brief comment to make. What a threesome. What a golf tournament. And what a champion. And once again, it is my very great pleasure to introduce my fellow club member, Frank Broyles, who does the chore of interviewing the top contenders in the tournament. And Frank, if you will take over and do your stuff, I'll be greatly obliged to you.
Thank you, Mr. Cliff, and I just want to echo those same remarks. It was the greatest day, I think, that we've ever seen in golf history, and congratulations to 3 of the greatest players of all time. Participation in the Masters by our best amateurs is a feature that we think adds great interest and enjoyment to the golf fans, and we always honor the low amateur of the year, and this year it's George Burns of Long Island. We're very proud to have you, George, and congratulations for a great tournament.
Thank you very much, Coach. I appreciate being here. I'm sure all the amateurs are just delighted to have been here and to have accepted such a great acceptance by the Masters Committee and by all the people that are here. Thank you.
Thank you for those kind remarks, and for our golf fans, I believe that you're the current North and South champion and also have been the Canadian amateur champion, I think, 2 years ago. We hope to have you back again next year.
Thank you.
Johnny, what a comeback. The last 2 days of golf is the most fantastic that's probably been played ever in the history of golf. 131, I think Jack mentioned, and the last 2 days. And from the day, after your first day in the press tent, you said you hoped you made the cut. I think you did.
Well, I was trying to let him know I was here, and the way I started out, I was 3 over par after 4 holes the first day, and that's no way to start a golf tournament, but I just sort of stuck with it, and I got it going finally yesterday, and these guys are tough guys to pick up strokes on, and I just kept plugging away, and I didn't expect to make the putt at 17, but it was a real thrill for me to be here and also have a great thrill to have a putt on the last hole to tie or to win a golf tournament, and can't imagine how exciting that was, and I'll never forget it.
Well, your play on the front round Saturday, you set the record with a 30, and I think you said in the press tent that when you get it moving on this course early, it gives you that inspiration all, and is that about what happened?
Yeah, both the last 2 rounds I got it going early in the round and was playing very well for me at tee to green, and I'm just happy to have done as well as I did. I really congratulate Jack Nicklaus. That's a super clutch putt it. He made it 16, and I think that pretty much made the tournament for him. Of course, a lot of other great shots, but well, you don't have to say he's a great champion, but he is, and I look up to him, and he's a great player, and I congratulate Tom, too, because I know how he feels right now. I think he's had 3 seconds. I've had 2 seconds, and second's better than third, though, I got to say that, and I'm just happy to have done as well as I did.
Well, John, there's no question that the young golfers of America, you're the idol, and they can identify with you, and more than this, we're very proud of the type of person you are and the leadership that you're giving all the young people across America today. Congratulations, and we'll see you here next year.
Thank you.
Tom, I don't know what to say. I know our comments for the last 2 or 3 years have been one of somewhat disappointment, but you made a great run at it and played tremendous golf all week long.
Well, thank you, Frank. Mr. Roberts, it's a tremendous pleasure for me to be able to compete in what I think is one of the greatest spectacles in all of sports. There's an atmosphere here that is uncomparable. I know one thing, and I believe it. I will win this golf tournament someday, and my coat will be tailor-made. But Jack played great. I can't fault my play. I just hit a couple bad shots and was a little bit unlucky in the second round on 13 and 15, but that's part of the game. Adversity happens to all of us, and it's the guy that can get through adversity, and that's the true champion. Luck plays a little bit of a part of the game, but you can't say that anybody is more luckier than the other guy. So, again, I'll be back again next year to come back and compete. I don't like to finish second, but believe me, I tried as hard as I could.
Well, 14 looked like it was going to be the key hole. I think you described for us your play there.
Well, the 14th hole, 13, after parring that hole, and it's reachable, I was a little bit discouraged, but I thought, well, we've got a lot of holes left, and I hit a good drive, and I played an 8-iron to about 6 feet to the left of the hole and made the putt, and that really put me back into things.
I think we're going to have the putt on 18. Describe it for us, if you will, Tom.
Well, I had watched John's putt from just about on the same line, and his broke very quickly to the left, and I probably had about an 8-foot putt there, and I thought, I'm going to hit it, just try to hit it firm on the top edge of the hole, and it has to break. Maybe I pushed it, I don't know, I'd like to watch myself. But I felt like I stroked it good, and it just kind of slipped. It never even turned, as you can see right there, and it looks like it has to turn, but you know, you make a lot of putts you don't think you make at times, too, but that's the way it goes.
Well, you're a great golfer, and you have been a great ambassador for golf, not only in the United States, but across the world. And we're looking forward to having you again next year.
Thank you.
We're going to have a special trophy for the man that finishes second the most times. And Tom's going to win it. He's already won it, I think.
You served your apprenticeship. There's no question about that. But you had a great tournament.
Thank you.
Jack, what can we say? The 5th Masters, great day.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. You know, I was obviously delighted, and I wanted to win this tournament very badly. I know that I've said at the beginning of the week was with the press, you know, 2 guys that I felt that probably have more talent in the game today, and are the 2 guys that are going to dominate this game as time goes on, are Johnny and Tom. And as it turned out, Johnny got a bad start, and then he started coming, and I really didn't think that anybody could play this golf course the way he played it the last 2 days to come back into contention. He just, you know, just played fantastic golf. And, of course, Tom has Tom had his problems last year, and I knew he got back on his game down at Heritage, and he told me Sunday night at Heritage after we finished the tournament, he says, I've got to go to Greensboro. He says, I think I can win a tournament. I've got to come into Augusta a winner. And he just ran up and won the tournament and came back, and I knew he was ready and playing well. And, of course, after yesterday, after losing my lead and Tom going ahead, I knew it was going to be a tough day, but I've been here before, and I've been in that position before, and I felt, just play good, solid golf and just see what happens. Well, I kept playing good, solid golf, but not only good, solid golf, but I played real good golf and kept making birdies, but these guys kept making them right behind me, too. And, I don't think I've ever been involved in all the years that I've played golf, and I guess this is about, 15 on the tour now, that I think a more exciting day of golf, I don't think there ever was, at least since I've been involved. And I think Tommy and John both would probably feel the same way. Of course, obviously, I'm the winner. It's easier for me to say that I enjoyed it, but any one of the three of us could have won. And it's, that is the fun of the game. People say, what about the pressure coming down the 18th hole? Well, by gosh, that's the fun of the whole game. It's a fun to have that putt at 18. It's a fun, as Johnny said, it's a fun to have that putt. And they'll win their tournaments. They'll win their Masters. These guys are going to win several of them.
Well, we're going to look just in a minute at the putt on 16, but before we do, tell us about 15. That's such an exciting hole for everybody, and you had such a tremendous second shot. What club did you use, and what was your strategy there?
Well, 15, I didn't catch all of my drive. I hit it decently, but I caught a little bit of the knob on the tee shot, and I left myself with about 240 to 45 yards to the hole. I was just short of that first little knob. And when I was standing up there, I had a little wind in my face, and I really didn't want to hit with the wind blowing in my face because it actually had been going cross most of the day. And I sort of fiddled for a couple minutes trying to get that wind to change. And finally it did a little bit, and I took a 1-iron out, which I knew I had to just hit all of it. And I have to say, I think it's it may be the finest 1-iron I've ever hit in my life, or as fine a 1-iron as I've ever hit. And I guess it almost went in the hole. And I was, I've had trouble with 15 over the past few years, and I've made my 7s and my 8s and so forth there, but that was really my key to the tournament, was not really making a mistake in any of the par 5s this week, or ever. I never bogeyed a par 3 either, so those two things were key, and of course that shot in there, I hit a bad putt, but I was so darn happy to get on the green, I didn't know what I was going to do.
Well, we saw you look on 16 green when you were standing there waiting, and heard the applause for Johnny's birdie and all. And how much did y'all kind of watch what you were doing? You were playing ahead, and is that an advantage?
Well, it's
playing
very
ahead?
difficult. No, I think it's an advantage being behind, really, Frank. You can say there's advantages both ways. Yes, you can put the score on the board and let them shoot at it, or you can also be behind and you know what you have to do. So there's advantages both ways. But I saw Tom hit his pitch at 15, and I knew he didn't hit the pitch the way he wanted to. He ran it by the hole. Would you run it by 8, 10 feet?
About 12, I'd say.
About 12 feet. And then I heard him make his putt. But I never heard, I knew Johnny had a putt for eagle. You had about a 12, 15 footer for eagle, didn't you?
Yeah, I just misread
and,
it.
It's, I didn't hear any reaction about that. And, but I did see him make the birdie. And I said, well, I knew it was a shot behind Tom. And it was really funny as I stood over my putt at 16.
There it is.
Well, you know how sometimes you get the feeling, you sort of feel that you might make something? And I knew the putt was close to 40 feet. And but I had the feeling that I might make it, and I hit the darn thing, and it went right in. I knew what it was going to do as far as break, because I just watched Tom Watson putt, and obviously that was the tournament.
You played, and then you came into 17, 18 with the one-shot lead. I think you finally realized that Tom had bogeyed 16.
Figured Tom had bogeyed 16 from the reaction as I was walking up 17, and I had a good drive at 17 and played a 9-iron. I did not want to take any chance of going over the green. I put it in about 25 feet short of the hole and hit a pretty good putt. And 18, I played 3-wood off the tee, hit a good shot and hit a good second shot. Just tried to take a little 6-iron and just bump it on the green. I saw where Tom drove. What are you, a little pitching wedge? And of course I hit that in about I guess what was that, 10, 11 feet?
Yes.
And my putt, I must have played a foot of break, and I must have broken 18 inches. And I knew it was going to break a lot, but I knew I could sew the tournament up and end it right there, but I just couldn't get the putt in.
Well, it was, as Mr. Roberts said, and you have repeated, that it was one of the greatest days of golf I guess we've ever had, and the golf fans are weak all over the nation. I'm sure of that.
Frank, that's fun.
That is fun. That's the name of the game.
That's the name of the game. It's fun.
I want to tell you how much, Jack, that the fans enjoy your great play, but we're also so proud that you're such a gracious winner and a gracious person, and we're very proud of you for that also.
Thank you.
It's customary at this time for the defending champion, Gary Player, to present you with your 5th green coat, and I believe we know your size now.
Okay.
Jack, congratulations.
Laddie.
That's fantastic effort.
Thank you very much.
Watched it on TV. I was choking more than you guys.
We didn't have time to choke. They were all making birdies.
Thank you, Devlin. Jack, congratulations again. Hope this one fits. This was size 38.
Wait a minute, I got a watch cut there. Thank you, Gary. It's a little different than the first one.
Well done again, Jack.
Thank you very much.
Tom.
Thank you, Gary.
Johnny. Thank you, George.
I want to press the flash again, Jack.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, Frank.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, let's go back now to Vince Scully at 18. Congratulations.
And so there's nothing much else to say here at Augusta National, except perhaps to say thank you to all of the marvelous players. Thank you for the excitement and the thrills. Even thank you for the moments of heartbreak and frustration, which were part of the whole picture. To the 40,000 people who ringed its fairways and greens, to the people all across the country and those particular areas around the world that might have watched it, we firmly and truly believe that they saw golf at its best and drama at its highest point. This great and wonderful golf course that opened up in 1931 and first had its Masters in 1934, that was won by Horton Smith. Its 39th was today and concluded on a proper high note. There was a record, a tying record by Hale Irwin. He had himself 8 birdies and shot 64 to tie the course record that was held by Lloyd Mangrum, Jack Nicklaus, Maurice Bembridge, and of course today Hale Irwin. And then it finally got down to a birdie or not a birdie, as Nicholas had walked off at 12 under, Weiskopf from about 8 feet, Miller from about 15, each man gallantly making a charge, rolling the putt, and missing. And Jack Nicklaus and his lovely wife, Barbara, they've been here 5 times now, as Jack embraces his wife, wearing his green coat, and we put the lid on the 1975 Masters tournament. They told us it was a great tournament. They told us it's a beautiful course. They didn't tell us well enough. It would defy the writing of a Hemingway or you name the author to tell you what transpired here today. But to use the word unforgettable, I think, will hold up. And now nothing else to do but say goodbye. And so for Jim Thacker, Pat Summerall, Ben Wright, Jack Whitaker, Henry Longhurst, and Frank Lieber, this is Vin Scully saying so long from the beautiful Augusta National Golf Club.